Hello guys, Kizzy Bug here. Today I'm going to talk about narcissist and what it's like to be in a relationship or to live with a narcissist. So let us begin. Narcissism is a generalized personality trait characterized by egotism, vanity, pride, or selfishness. I can't think of many people that don't focus on themselves in some fashion in an interpersonal exchange. In fact, you've probably been on the phone with someone who only talks about themselves or their problems without listening to yours. Facebook is a breeding ground for narcissists. Those that frequently use it feel the need to be actively involved in telling others what they are doing and spying on others to see what they're up to. If there was ever a time in our history where narcissist identification cards would be handed out, they would be called Facebook accounts. The downside of this condition is that the people you attract also suffer from pathological and psychological conditions. You may grow sick of it after a while, so when they gripe at you, complain, or do things that you dislike, you'll be quick to sever the connection and end it. The bad thing is not that you end it or couldn't sustain it, but rather you attracted this type of person in your life in the first place. If you tell someone you think they match a trait of narcissism, and after discussing it with them, they still don't even see how it might be possible or admit that they display traits sometimes, then you are dealing with a narcissist in full form because they have this trait. Narcissists have difficulty with empathy. This is the inability to feel and understand the emotions of others, whether they are standing right in front of you or fictional characters in a movie. If you're with someone who's never cried and lacks any type of emotion, even laughter or happiness, then they match this trait. In the mind of a narcissist, there is no boundary between themselves and others. A narcissist treats their significant other or others as if they belong to them. It is common in narcissistic relationships where one person foots the bill for everything, but the other person treats this money as if it belongs to them. Usually fights with a narcissist will be over the smallest things because you are not allowed to have your own opinions or thoughts, regardless as to whether it was negative or not. A narcissist is hypersensitive to insults. Have you ever talked with someone that says something and they took it out of context and in the completely wrong way, and the person tried to make it seem like or suggest you insulted them? Have you ever told someone that they could improve their health by working out and they came back with, "What are you trying to say? I'm fat?" Narcissists love to feel insulted. They will take a discussion not aimed at anyone in particular and make it about them or someone they know being offended or getting overly emotional about it. Narcissists are more concerned with the act than the consequences of the act and its effects on others. Their vulnerability to shame can be so devastating that it consumes them. Haughty is defined as being arrogant and full of pride. Haughty body language is comprised of adopting body language that screams, "I'm better than you." Whether you walk around with your nose held high, roll your eyes, or smirk, anything that gives off the impression that your crap doesn't stink is haughty body language. A narcissist with this behavior doesn't actually have to be rich to act like them. Narcissists are nice to people who admire them for their abilities or socially accept them into their quote-unquote pack. Anyone else they want nothing to do with and don't care to listen to your opinion. Those who do not admire them will not be included in their circle. They will be quickly shelved and placed out of existence. They have to be the center of attention. No one can have or be better than them. Everyone has ran across someone who has to appear to be more important or special than they really are. Bragging is not just a side hobby, it's a core profession of a narcissist. They may even tell you that they were an astronaut. anything they can do to get your attention. No matter how they really feel, if they feel it at all, they will openly deny any form of regret and openly deny any gratitude towards others. They will not appreciate you or say thanks, nor will they feel regret for anything they do to you. Plain and simple. They expect things to go how they want them to go. So let's explore the warning signs and red flags of a narcissistic relationship. Or just narcissism in general. So the warning signs. They have to have a sense of superiority. For example, being highly critical, often judgmental about others. They have to have a sense of entitlement. Sometimes this comes off as confidence, but can manifest in subtle ways, like cutting through a service station rather than wait at the traffic lights, or deliberately leave rubbish for someone else to pick up. They give out backhanded compliments such as, "She has a figure like yours," slim but no muscle tone. In a romantic relationship, the relationship moves quickly. For example, they will shower you with attention, compliments, or gifts and say "I love you" very early on in the relationship. They will start to subtly ignore you. They may appear to lose interest, get distracted, or check their phone while you're talking. Their seemingly innocent words are often contradicted by their body language and tone of voice. Their stories don't quite add up, and you may start to see the little white lies. You may even tell yourself, "I just heard them lie to their friend, and it was just a little white lie, but she or he wouldn't lie to me." They have two sets of rules that apply to them and rules that apply to everyone else. They may have unrealistic expectations of love and nurturing from others, but don't hold themselves to the same high standards. They have a lack of empathy and are unable to put themselves in the shoes of others. They have poor boundaries and may regularly invade your privacy, go through your belongings, and expect that you might read their wishes and needs. They may be highly sensitive to criticism or any suggestion that they are not in the right. They have a "my way or the highway" attitude. They believe that they know best and that their way of doing things is their correct way. Initially, they could come off as quite charming and charismatic and always know the right thing to say. The red flags. As the relationship becomes more established, you may start to see some stronger warning signs or red flags, such as you may spot bigger lies, and when you confront them, you will never get a straight answer, or they would turn it around and accuse you of what they were actually doing. If you try to raise an issue with them, it becomes a full-blown argument. They may accuse you of causing the fight, or they may use the silent treatment as a way of punishing you for confronting them. Arguments feel circular and nonsensical. You're left feeling emotionally battered and confused. There is no resolution to the issue, no sense of compromise or seeking a win-win outcome. It feels like they need to win regardless of the issue or what's at stake. You're left feeling unsupported and misunderstood. They may tell you something didn't happen when you know it did, or vice versa. This is called gaslighting, and it's designed to make you doubt your own reality and judgment. You feel like you need to ask for permission before making plans with others. They may try to control where you go, or call and text constantly to check up on you, and interrogate you about where you've been and what you've been doing. You start seeing lies. You start seeing less of your family and friends, perhaps because they openly prevent you from doing so through guilt, tripping, or threats of abandonment. Or it can be more subtle, where they make such a fuss about seeing your family and friends that you start avoiding them so you don't have to deal with the fallout. So you end up feeling isolated and lonely. The relationship feels one-sided, like you are the one who is doing all the giving, the one who is always in the wrong, the one who is trying the hardest, changing the most or doing the most, sacrificing just to make them happy, and it still doesn't work. Nothing is ever enough for them. You can't feel at ease or relaxed in their presence. You feel like you're walking on eggshells waiting for the next time they lash out at you. You realize you feel a sense of relief when they aren't there. You feel like whatever you do, it's not enough. You are manipulated so that your flaws and vulnerabilities are exploited and used against you at every opportunity. You begin to feel inadequate, unlovable, And like everything is all your fault. You are in fact experiencing narcissistic abuse. Narcissistic abuse does not usually include forms of physical abuse, with physical signs like bruises. The signs of a narcissistic abuse are invisible, which makes it much harder to identify. The abuse is more ambiguous and difficult to prove, but it is no less damaging because it is a form of spiritual rape. Over time, the abuse chips away at the target's self-confidence and self-esteem. The target isn't even aware it's happening until the damage has been done. The abuse is always about control. I have experienced life with a narcissist, and if there is hell on earth, I would say being in a relationship, married to, or having a family member with narcissism is the worst, and it is definitely hell. I also wanted to say that since it's very difficult to discover narcissism for mental health, narcissists are the hardest ones to diagnose and to cure, so to speak. Because remember, they think there's nothing wrong with them. It's whoever said they needed help. They will just point out flaws you may have and tell you to go get help. The best thing you can do if you are in a relationship of any sort with a narcissist is to get the hell out of it and run away as fast as you can. Because narcissism is abuse, and it will never get better no matter what you say or do. Believe me when I say this. It is highly recommended that you distance yourself from your narcissist. When you do, you will see your mental health improve and your overall being go back to a healthy state. Another thing I want to say is this. Some people believe that emotional abuse is not as bad as physical. Let me just say this. No matter what type of abuse it is, whether it be sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, and mental abuse, it is still abuse. And narcissism fits in with emotional abuse. If you haven't gone batshit crazy from the abuse from a narcissist, then you are one of the lucky ones. Because you will have to undo all the training the narcissist put you through to accommodate the wants and desires. You get so caught up in trying to make them happy and to keep the peace in your home and relationship that you lose who you are in the process. You can go into the relationship as a strong person, but you can come out completely broke and shattered. What is the percentage of narcissists in the US? A full narcissistic personality diagnosis seems to be consistently around 6%. If you were to expand that to include people who are overtly narcissistic only some of the time, then the number would be much higher. How common are borderline and narcissistic personality disorders? According to the largest study ever conducted on the personality disorders by the U.S. National Institutes of Mental Health, 5.9% of the U.S. population has borderline personality disorder, and 6.2% has narcissistic personality disorder. As some people fit both diagnoses, about 10% of the U.S. population has borderline personality disorder and or narcissistic personality disorder. So for those who don't believe emotional abuse is just as bad as the other forms of abuse, such as physical and sexual, please keep in mind that no form of abuse is okay. No matter what, guys, we have to stand up in support of abuse survivors and for the victims. Abuse awareness is so important. I can't even begin to tell you how important it is, not just for adults, but for children and elderly folks. We are their voice to bring change and support for those who are trying to leave and for those who have had the courage to leave. I hope that this leaves you with some educational stuff that maybe you didn't know about this mental illness. We all have known someone at some point in our lives who are narcissistic. But remember, before they break you down and leave you in pieces and shattered on the ground, get out while you can. You deserve so much more than this. Okay, guys. Thank you for listening, and as always, feedback is welcome. I love you all lots. Talk to you soon.